Game of the year should be an easy decision, right? I mean, what games are even coming out? Oh no. Hi, I'm Try, and I've been thinking a lot about the Game Awards and what might eventually become this year's Game of the Year. I feel like we've all acknowledged that the award itself is arbitrary, but it's still fun to get together towards the end of the year and celebrate the year in gaming by recognizing some of the titles that came out. And I'm not sure what it is about this year, but I think we're gonna have a problem on our hands. Yes, I think that the Game of the Year this year will be snubbed. Here's why. To start, let's look at some of the games that have already been released. And I don't have a ton to say on each of them because, well, I haven't played them all. But I think it's important to recognize and show off just how close this goty race really is. To start, one of the big heavy hitters. This comes from the Game Awards resident jokester and previous Game of the Year 2021 winner, Joseph Fares and his team with Split Fiction. This is one of the games I haven't played, but if you look at the reviews and what people are saying, yeah, this is definitely in the conversation. It Takes Two was Fares' game that won in 2021, and for me personally, my goty was Metroid Dread, but I love what Fares does in trying to bring back couch co-op and the very consumer-friendly practice of giving a free game download to a second player, so honestly, not too upset about that one. But Split Fiction seems to be a wackier and wilder version of It Takes Two, and yeah, this could be Game of the Year. Another one I haven't played, but I've had my cousin actually point out to me, shoutouts to my cousin, is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I literally know nothing about this game, except that people really love it, and it looks really good. It seems pretty brutal, and from what I can see, the story looks to be on par with some of the greatest in games. I don't know what else to say besides, this might be Game of the Year. A game that was on my radar, but I haven't played literally any in this series, is Monster Hunter Wilds. Monster Hunter seems to be solid almost every time we see it. Worlds, Rise, I've heard great things about all these games, and I feel like the hype for Wilds was for the most part met for its fan base. You know, this has a shot for Game of the Year. Oh, and you might have forgotten about this one. I definitely did. It released in December of last year, which could make it eligible for this year's Game Awards, and that's freaking Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Critically acclaimed with a whopping 87 on OpenCritic. I remember being pretty skeptical when we got those E3 trailers, and I know I wasn't alone. I was pretty baffled by how they decided to show this game off, but as soon as people got their hands on it, it seemed to be a game that had a very good chance at being Game of the Year. Now, to get into the games I have played that I believe will be seen in some capacity at this year's show. The first is one that I had no idea existed, but when the man who makes Inscription swears by it, you should probably listen, and that is Blueprints. Woo, y'all, I don't know where to start with this game. This is one that had me thinking about the game a lot when I wasn't playing it. You know you're hooked when it starts taking up real estate in your brain. It's hard to sell Blueprints, but I'll try my best. Imagine a setting similar to Knives Out. Yes, the movie Knives Out, except the estate is being left to you by your great uncle that passed away so long as you can find the 54th secret room. It's up to you to build rooms that can grant you various currencies you'll need to progress, such as keys to unlock doors, gems to build certain rooms, and food to give you steps which you'll need, as that's essentially your finite stamina in the game. This game is a roguelike, so every day is a new run, with new floor plans and ways to get through the mansion. This game also has puzzles, and when I say puzzles, I am not talking about your classic Zelda door is locked, find eye, shoot eye, open door puzzles. These are legit brain busters that you'd find in real life if you went to an escape room. And I've had some of the greatest feelings of euphoria after solving some of these puzzles. It's seriously so good. And yeah, I think it could be Game of the Year. Another one that has absolutely taken the gaming world by storm is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I haven't beaten it, but I'm closing in on Act 2, and I've literally had dreams about it. The music is constantly playing in my head. It's some of the most fun I've had in this type of RPG in a long time. The music, the characters, the writing, the look and design of this game, it's all fantastic. You can tell when projects are made with love, and Clair Obscur is no exception. I love getting little nuggets of French culture intermingled with this fantastical world too. This game is amazing, and yeah, yet another game that could be Game of the Year. So you see the problem I'm running into and why this video is titled what it is. It's only May, and we still have so many games to look forward to that show so much promise. I'm positive that we have quite a few more rounds in the chamber to add to this year's Game of the Year nominees. I'm sure some of them will also come out of left field just like Blueprints and Clair Obscur did for me. So what are some games that we might be looking forward to that have a shot at Game of the Year? Obviously, we don't know what the reception is or will be like for these games, but it's fun to speculate which will be critically acclaimed. You see, there's a special date coming up, and that's June 5th. Why? It's my brother's birthday. Happy birthday, Brandon. No, but besides that, if you follow my channel, it's something I love to talk about, and that's the Nintendo Switch 2. It's releasing alongside Mario Kart World, a game that hopefully plays as good as it looks, and it looks pretty darn good. But when you release a console, you want more than just one good title, and that's why I think Donkey Kong Bonanza and Metroid Prime 4 also have a real shot at being 2025's Game of the Year. Donkey Kong looks like it's being developed by the Mario Odyssey team, and I'm sure they're coming to the Game Awards with a hunger. They were happy to see Breath of the Wild take home Game of the Year in 2017, but were understandably still a bit bit disappointed it wasn't their own game. Metroid Prime 4 is also one that people were demoing at the Nintendo Switch 2 public events, and specifically the version on Switch 2 is apparently phenomenal. This game has been in development for so long, and the Prime games have a history of being high-quality video games that critics adore. I mean, just look at Metroid Prime Remastered. Wowzers. Nintendo aren't the only ones cooking up some premier software bound for Game Award accolades, but indie studios alike are bringing the heat. Here's a quick list of indies you should not sleep on that could release this year. Hades 2, successor to Game of the Year nominee Hades. Mugenics, a roguelike made by the sick and beautifully twisted mind of Edmund McMillen, who brought us The Binding of Isaac and Super Meat Boy. Freaking Hollow Knight Silksong, one of my most anticipated games since before I had kissed a girl. I have a child now, dang it. One of the greatest roguelike games of all time is getting a sequel, and that's Slay the Spire 2. The indie category this year is gonna be fierce, and I could see any one of these alongside Blueprints or Clair Obscur taking up spots in this year's Game of the Year nominees. Where we usually only see one indie game represented in the final list, I feel like there's no choice but to break that unwritten rule for how amazing this lineup is. The gap between indie games and AAA titles in terms of quality were already blurry, and at this point, after seeing what Sandfall could do, the lines are non-existent. Alright, in terms of other titles coming out that I just don't even know if I'll have time to talk about, Doom the Dark Ages, which will probably be out and be loved by everyone who plays them by the time this video drops, Ghost of Yotei, Elden Ring Night Rain, Death Stranding 2, Ninja Gaiden 4, The Outer Worlds 2, and I'm probably missing a ton, but you get the point. This year feels very different. I don't know if it's just me or what, but this only means one thing, that Game of the Year, or the games that deserve it, will most surely be snubbed. With the sheer amount of quality games, I'm honestly kind of feeling bad for the media outlets that will be judging this thing. How can anyone compare apples and oranges like you can a 24-player Mario Kart themed racer to an RPG about time and the beauty of passing things on for those who come after? It's an impossible task. With how difficult it can be for the average person to play more than a game a month, there's no possible way for every person to play every game that's nominated. Okay, it's probably possible, but most people will probably have only played one or two of the nominated games, if that. There is a genuine argument for why any of these games could be Game of the Year. Is the game itself amazing? Does it do something in its specific genre to push the envelope? Does it represent a culture, a group of people that don't see much representation? Does it show that you don't have to lay off people or give constraints to produce what you might think is a mega hit? Does it take risks? There are so many things that can be taken into account when it comes to handing out this award that ultimately means nothing. The more I've watched the Game Awards, the more I've realized it's hardly about the awards as it is celebrating the games and experiences that shaped us in a given year. It sheds light on developers that pour some real blood, sweat, and tears into projects they're passionate about, and hopefully incentivizes good practices within the games industry. I think about Balatro from last year's Game Awards. So many people slept on it, but I'm tooting my own horn here. I was there day one back when it launched, but because of the Game Awards and because of Balatro's nomination, it saw a massive influx of sales and the praise it deserved. I could only do so much as an individual joker to spread the good word. Another moment I loved from last year's Game Awards was the acknowledgement of how bad the industry has been for the common developer. Layoffs have plagued the industry for at least the last 2 to 3 years, and it's nice to see it called out on gaming's biggest stage. One of the most touching moments of the 2024 show was the new Game Changer Award that recognizes good in the industry. Amir Satvat, like me, and I'm sure many of you, is someone who loves video games and the impact it's had on him. Amidst the layoffs, he worked hard to help people network and find jobs. Here's part of his acceptance speech which genuinely made me emotional when I saw it live.
I can't help but say that I love video games with all my heart. To all game makers everywhere, you are seen and treasured, and our community will always be there to help you. Over the last 3 years, we've lost more than 34,000 jobs, a staggering amount of games experience eliminated. This has consequences. You can't make great games without great people. I'm proud of so many of you who have already joined me to make an impact, and I really have to thank everyone in our community who gave all their time and commitment to build it. As we gather here tonight for this amazing celebration, I challenge everyone to ask themselves, what more can we each do to make our industry better? I dedicate this to my grandparents in heaven and to our Game Awards watch party back home, my wife, our 3 sons, and my parents, who really devoted their lives to me and taught me that my value lies in how I treat other people. Growing up, all I ever wanted was to be a part of the video game industry. As a kid from Farmington, Connecticut, it felt a world away. Not anymore. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
For the hate Jeff Keighley gets, I honestly just see someone who loves gaming and tries his best to put on a show to celebrate games, gamers, and developers alike. So yes, your favorite game of 2025 will most likely be getting snubbed, as will mine, and I couldn't be more excited. If you liked this video, hit subscribe and watch some of my other content. I'm getting real close to hitting 10,000 subscribers and would love to reach that goal before the Switch 2 drops. I upload once a week where I make videos on gaming topics I want to talk about. Special shoutouts to my patrons who support me here. If you want to help me keep this dream alive, I'd really appreciate you becoming a member either here or on Patreon. If you want to be a part of the community, join the Shape Squad on Discord. I love interacting with people there and want to make gaming events a regular thing. All those links are in the description below. I appreciate you being here, thanks for watching, and as always,
Thank you for all your support!